everybody. Welcome to the Internet Sports Broadcast Network, the state of sports, and we are just three guys, Hurdie Burk, Todd Frank, Donovan Huges, and we're just sitting around a kitchen table talking a recap of sports from last week, what's coming up, some predictions, some pathetic things we saw in the sports world this weekend. But guys, we just have fun, so our real show is just about a bunch of friends talking about sports tonight. So welcome, guys. I want to welcome Donovan. Donovan, say hi.
Hello. Hello.
Todd Frank, say hi.
What's up?
All right, guys, we are into it. Tonight we've got a World Series going. We're going to give away the day of the show, obviously. Game 7 between the Astros and the Washington Nationals. And since it just started, guys, why don't we just talk a little bit about that and tell me, who do you predict is going to win this series and why? Todd?
Oh, definitely the Astros.
Okay. Donovan?
Everything's bigger and better in Texas, and I don't know where these national guys are from, but they just need to go back there.
Okay. Donovan?
You know, I think the Astros are going to win if they'll just start swinging at the first pitch on the series.
Okay.
So that's what's killing me right now.
Yeah. I'm neutral. I'm a Texas Rangers fan, but I'm impressed with the pitching for Washington that's going to be pitching tonight. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm neutral on whoever wins. But I guess I'd prefer to keep it in Texas, although I think the Washington Nationals are a very good baseball team. Hey, there you go. All right.
They
so
are.
Said.
Scherzer, Scherzer and Greinke, this is the first time a Game 7's ever been pitched by two Cy Young winners.
Isn't that cool? I mean,
very cool.
There's been some great pitching matchups, and the thing that really is unbelievable is these starters have done really good, but when you look at the end of the scores of the game, they're like 8-2 and 12-1, and nothing's been like a nail biter till like the 7th inning, right? And then it's over.
Well, the crazy thing with Scherzer, he didn't get to pitch. I guess it was Game 5 because
that shoulder.
He woke up with a pinched nerve or some kind of a nerve. He couldn't even dress himself, and I mean, he turned back around and he's pitching in Game 7. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and you know what? Two great teams, and it's been a Game 7, and all you ask for in a World Series, right, is to have these teams go 7 games and make it entertaining, and they've sure as heck done that. So I asked Todd earlier before the show, and Donovan, you can throw your 2 cents in. What did you think of the call at first base last night? Not that it matters now. It's judgment call, just getting opinions, okay?
Todd, that was for you, right?
Any one of you guys.
Okay.
I don't care.
So
just jump in.
So, hey, his glove came off his hand. If the runner hadn't been there, the glove wouldn't have come off and could have caught the ball. And so he was definitely obstructing the play, right? Isn't that part of the rules? Is you
kind of
obstruct the play?
I have a different take on the whole thing.
All right, Donovan.
But I mean, you have a guy, and I'm totally Astros fan. But the guy has to have a place to run.
Thank you.
He ran straight at the bag and touched the bag without like putting his arm out or anything else. To me, that was a ridiculous call.
Yeah, and my observation is that you had a left-handed first baseman.
Which
you had a guy,
pretty much.
You had a guy hit the ball off the top of the bat, bottom of the bat, stumbled and collected himself from the left side of the plate, got in line, and as the rule states, he hit the center of the bag, right? He didn't flare out his arms. The ball, the runner, and the left-handed glove all reached at the same time. I don't know how that umpire could have called that, except he saw the glove laying on the ground, and he said obstruction, which I get. It's a judgment call.
Okay, so how about this one, right? I mean, what's he doing running in the grass anyways? I mean,
well, if you're from the left,
and I got a question. I mean, seriously, do you run faster in the dirt, or do you run faster, in the grass?
Or do you carry your bat to first? I don't know.
What the hell, right?
I'm just saying that
what the heck was that?
You're gonna run faster and get more traction when you're in grass, and he's running in the grass.
I mean, why don't you just carry your bat all the way around all 4 bases too?
Well, isn't that a rule? You can't.
Yeah.
I don't know why there wasn't a like. There's got to be some kind of rule. I thought
keep off the grass. You know what I mean?
So I think his momentum took him into the grass, but he seemed like he went straight to the bag.
Okay, so here's my problem with the whole thing is you never want the umpires to be the final dictation of how a game is.
Well, it wasn't the umpire,
right?
It was New York.
Okay, it was New York. Whatever, that's fine.
You know,
Sure.
I got serious qualms with this whole thing with the Major League Baseball and the NFL. They're like, well, they're reviewing it in New York. I mean, what does New York have to do with professional sports here?
They umpire from a distance.
I mean, you know what? I think they should get a contract and put it somewhere else. You know what I mean?
All right, there you
I
go.
don't trust anything out of New York, and definitely not the Yankees.
Hey, and Donovan, remember
Yeah.
when Todd said he'd just be a bystander on the show and wouldn't put his opinions in?
Right?
All
Love
right. So let's jump in a little bit to you guys. Todd, something you brought up last week to me I thought was pretty cool was, the NCAA has passed the rules that they're going to start playing certain types of players at these school levels, right? Compensate them. I'd like to hear your opinion since you're the one that seems to have studied this and been the expert on it. Can you dig into that a little bit?
I believe it started way out there on that left coast, California,
Right.
where they're passing legislation saying, you can pay to play, for the college athletes. And that's like opening Pandora's box for the NCAA, because as soon as you have a state that says, hey, you can pay your college athletes, well, if none of the other states do it, where's all the talent going to go? They're going to go to California because, I mean, those college students, they want to get paid. And so the NCAA came out and said, you know what, we are going to allow college students to make money. And there's going to be more stuff coming out, but I mean, there's definitely already stuff in play where they're like, they get these endorsements and they can't kind of conflict with what the college teams already have with, Reebok or Nike, whoever the company is. So I think off the field, doing, advertisements, doing videos, these students are going to be able to capitalize. They're going to be able to monetize and make some money off of their talent, which is good. Because, think about it.
Guys get hurt in college and may not be able to go pro if they're really good. There's a lot of things that can happen. Do you think that opens up the fact that people like car dealers can give away trucks to certain players?
Absolutely.
Do you think that'll be allowed? Do you think they'll have their own T-shirt line?
Absolutely.
Do you think they'll have their own app so we can follow them on Twitter?
Allinger down at the local Chevy house, signing off stuff, and he'll be.
You think they'll be able to buy their? You think they'll be able to buy their family a house and all that stuff too?
Why not? Why not? I really see no problem with it whatsoever.
Well, let me ask you this: if you get paid off of your likeness, right, which could be a jersey, right, jersey sales.
Yeah.
What's a recruit sitting in a coffee shop? Guy comes in, a billionaire who loves his university, sits down with him and says, "You know what? You come here, I'll buy 1 million of your jerseys."
Wow.
Yeah. That sounds great.
Right? and he gets the whatever percent off of that jersey sale, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's a point where I don't want to see college athletics at, because it just takes away from the game completely. Makes it. I mean, they might as well just make it into a minor league, which it is in a sense.
Well, it absolutely is. It's a feeder. I mean,
football.
Where the pros come from. I mean, they come out of colleges.
Do you guys think that would take away from the incentive of these athletes to play as hard and to work as hard toward getting to the next level, or do you,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think it would be an incentive. I mean,
right. Because you're a true capitalist, dude. I love you, man.
It's like I'm thinking, if I was playing college ball, I think I'd want to play as good as I could, and maybe pick up a Bass Pro endorsement and get me a new bass boat.
Yeah, we're talking about in high school.
So, Donovan, that's a good point, because seriously,
or junior high.
The scheme of this, right?
Yeah.
Is right now, I mean, if you're a YouTube personality, you can make all types of money, or not an athlete. I mean, I don't really distinguish this between being an athlete or non-athlete. If you're popular and you can monetize it, so be it. If people like you, hey, and they want to give you money and buy your product, that's awesome. And I don't see how this is going to lessen the sport at all, whether it be high school, college, or pro. I mean, you're entitled to your own persona and your personality, And if you can make a buck off of it, so be it.
Sure.
Yeah.
The problem is there are agents out there that are not going to do what's right for the kids that are coming in. And
But hey, I'll tell you
Interesting.
what, you can't.
Interesting.
if there's no restrictions on that, I guarantee you it will be the muddiest water that we've ever seen in sports.
Yeah.
Well,
When you start-
what's your agent going to do? Wine, dine, maybe give you a little stipend? Because, I mean, there's
No.
going to be a lot of big money chasing, prospective pros out there, and they're going to be like, hey, we're going to give you a $5 million operating budget, and you're going to go out and you're going to say, hey, legally sign this. You sign it. Here's our agreement. This is what you're going to make. This is what we're going to make. We're going to promote you. We're going to try to talk to Nike, Reebok, all these, giant, corporations and try to get people endorsements. And it's like, you got to have an agent. And you know what? They could free agent too. An agent, it's like companies might actually have a marketing arm that goes straight after, college kids without an agent. And so the agents, there are good ones, there are bad ones. But, you got to learn sooner or later. And hey, what about this? How about it's beneficial for these young kids to learn the ins and outs of contracts while they're in high school, while they're in college, before they even go to the pros. So it's kind of like, hey, we're educating them at a younger age.
All right. Good points by all you guys. We got to move along. So, Todd, thank you for bringing that up. Now, I do think, and I'll say one more thing, there's probably going to be, we haven't seen a rules list yet for what's
Right.
what the NCAA is putting out, right? What can and can't be done. We'll know more specific what they can and can't do, right?
More common, and there's definitely conflicts of interest and everything. And I'm sure the NCAA is going to look at this from like a very legal aspect that, the kids' contracts are not going to be able to come into conflict with what the NCAA college teams have with their sponsors. So I think a lot of it will definitely be okay. And it should be very interesting. And I don't see how they can stop it. And the reason why is because once you have these states, which I think there are 4 or 5 states now that already have legislation in place, or they have legislation that's like in the House and stuff coming up for votes. And once they legalize it, I mean, the cat's out of the bag.
So it's a big wait and see what goes on. So, hey guys, let's move on to football. Let's talk college.
Nice.
College. Donovan,
Yes.
you want to jump? You were itching really bad before the show to talk about college. So I'm gonna let you take the lead, brother.
So this last week, I was going to go down. It just came out, LSU #1, which I totally agree with them being #1. They they've beat obviously Texas, unfortunately. They
beat Auburn.
They've beaten Florida.
Yep.
I've never been a big Ed Orgeron fan,
right?
But he seemed like he has steered the ship in the right direction. He's made some good hires with his assistant coaches.
Yeah.
And that is everything in college football, because a head coach, in essence, I mean, he might be on one side of the football, he might be calling plays, but there's so much more he has to do, and he has to have assistant coaches that are steering the ship in the right direction. They can't do everything.
Yeah. So
and he's got everything humming there right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
so they got they got the great
Yeah.
quarterback from Ohio State that's come in and changed the whole landscape. So
absolutely.
Listen, they've got both LSU and Alabama in the top 4, right? They're going to play each other this weekend. So what happens if one loses? What do you do? Because they're both good football teams. Do you knock one of them out top 4? Really?
At this point, looking at you have LSU, you got Alabama, OSU, you got
Ohio
Clemson,
State.
Penn State,
Clemson.
Florida, right?
Right.
Everybody else has got so those 5 there are Penn State, Clemson, OSU, Alabama, and LSU.
Right.
Other than Baylor, are all undefeated.
Right.
And so, but at this point, if you look at it, LSU and Alabama are going to play each other. OSU and Penn State are going to play each other. So it's going to work its way out. On the flip side of that,
Yeah.
I mean, well, you have Alabama and LSU going to play. We'll see how the rest of the. I mean, there's a lot of games left.
Right. I agree.
There's a lot of football left, but there is a scenario where Alabama and LSU could be absolutely in the playoff together.
And Alabama still has to play Auburn at the end of the season. So,
right.
That game's always, you never know.
Oh, always good.
So
absolutely.
I think it's going to be a great football game this weekend. I'm pretty sure of that. So,
yeah.
So what happened to Texas?
What happened to Texas?
Yeah. Who? What's with these guys, man? They look so good They look so good on defense against LSU, even though LSU beat them the first game. They look stable, they look strong, they look competitive, and then they go to Kansas, right? And then they go to TCU and they just roll over. What's the deal?
Yeah, it's like when I was looking at the top 25, I don't even see them in the top 25 anymore.
They're not there.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be there at this point.
So what happened? Are they hurt? Did they just what's going on?
They're coach enough or their players.
Todd. Yeah, they pay him plenty. Trust me.
Fire the coach.
And I think I think he's a good coach. I just think Orlando needs to simplify things. The defensive coordinator. They got to quit blitzing as much. And when they do blitz, it just seems like it's at the most unopportune times when they blitz.
Yeah.
I would like to go ahead.
I was going to say these teams, Donovan, have figured out that if you blitz, all you have to do is get that back free out of the backfield to drop a screen. You know what I'm saying? That play has become so effective against blitzing in college. So that kills them. They run that blitz and then they just dump the ball over the middle on a 5-yard pass. 3
seconds, it's gone, and you've got yardage down the field.
Yeah, that's a big, huge play.
Their blitzing comes from. It seems like where the linebackers are. They're trying to blitz a safety or a nickel back, and it takes them a second and a half to get to where they should have already started. That's why I think I really think they need to go right now with their personnel. I've been looking through their personnel, and I'm like, you know what? They need to go to a base 4-3 defense this year, just so they can get an artificial pass rush. I mean, something that at least they're getting people upfield on a consistent basis, and they have somewhat enough linebackers. They're pretty thin. I mean, you got to realize guys have injuries. Stern, B.J. Foster, McCullough, Chris Brown. I mean, there's on their defense, they've been decimated on their defense. Which, if you're at the University of Texas, you should be able to reload in some areas. I mean, you might not be as good, but you should be at least average to sufficient, you would think. But it seems like as soon as these starters were down, man, it went south quick.
Well, if they pay them, they'll play hurt. I'm kidding. So is Kansas State's offense as good as what I saw in that game last week against Oklahoma, or what happened in that game? Because
I think the Oklahoma boys stayed out a little too late. Partying.
Yeah,
that'd be my guess.
You think you think they believed they were going to roll over them or something? Because Kansas looked like a number 1 rated team on offense. I watched that game. I couldn't believe how easy it was for them to do what they were doing. I couldn't believe it.
Well, a lot of trap plays on offense.
Yeah.
On that defense, and so what they did, what Oklahoma did against Texas, they did a lot of stunts, which confused the crowd of UT. Which with the offensive line playing well as they have up until the last few games, you would think that they've bonded enough where they could communicate.
Right.
But it's almost like Oklahoma, it just freaked them out. On the flip side of that, it gave a template for Kansas State to go, oh, yeah, I see what they're doing. And guess what? All we have to pull this guard, and guess what? Take it and they go to one side and kick out the end.
Yeah,
you got an open lane, and so they play probably in different formations and in different gaps, but they ran the same play pretty much 50 or 60% of the time.
Well,
when they were running
Oklahoma,
run plays.
Oklahoma woke up the last 5 minutes of the game, though, right? They almost made it back. So, hey, predictions for this weekend, guys. Todd, LSU, Alabama. What do you think? Who's going to win that game?
Man, I'm going with LSU. They are the beast.
Okay. Donovan.
I'm going to go with LSU because I think I'm going to try to play Tagovailoa, and I think he'll probably hurt him at first, and I think LSU will end up pulling it out.
Yeah, is Alabama's quarterback starting this week? He was hurt last week. They held him out. Is he starting?
It's up in the air right now.
Okay, so with that, I would pick LSU. But if he starts, I'm going to go with Alabama. So there's my call. I think it's going to be a knockout dragout. I don't care what side of the ball you're on. That's going to be that's a big SEC game right there.
It always is.
Right. So, final thoughts on college football, guys. Anything, Donovan, Todd?
Well, I'd like to bless the hearts of the UT football players.
That's the
are you guys diehard UT fans? Seriously,
I am diehard UT fan. I grew up here in Austin.
So you love them. It's hard. It's heartbreaking.
I've seen the ups and downs. Anyway, I don't live and die by them, but my season, I can tell by the first couple of games how my college football season is going to go, pretty much. Depending on them. I will tell you this, with this team right now, I think it's at a pivotal point that I just don't want the locker room
to get messy.
I hope it's solidified, and I hope they have enough leadership that keeps everybody together, because they had some really high expectations going into this year, and they have not lived up to expected. Now, with the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's, I think they have the Jimmies and Joes. I just think the X's and O's at this point have not been there.
They just haven't been able to function on the
field. I hope they can come together, and I hope they can get through this. As far as this is perfect for the bye week this week. They don't play this week. They play Kansas State coming up the next week, and we'll talk about the matchups maybe next week on that. But
all right, so let's move on a little bit and go to talk some shop about pro football a little bit. Todd, you had a little pre-show talk about somebody up in Cleveland. You want to fill us in on what you're thinking?
I'm telling you,
maybe he shouldn't.
It's kind of a strange deal, because when you're a quarterback, you're the captain. You're at the helm of your team. And I understand Baker Mayfield is emotional, but for him to get flustered and upset enough that he has to extricate himself from an interview, I'm thinking, if you can't keep your composure before a camera, is there a composure issue on the field?
Yeah, probably.
Well, he's always been that way.
But he's always I think he's a
douche. So.
Yeah, he's always been that way too, and I guess we just got Donovan's feelings on that. So.
Well, I like his commercials,
Yeah, he's cleaning the stadium after the party. That's pretty cool.
I like that.
I do too. Yeah.
And I mean,
him and Johnny Manziel.
The Browns. I think the Browns are kind of like UT, where us fans were really thinking, "Hey, this is the year that's going to be the year that they turn, the ship around and start going the right way."
Right.
But it hasn't panned out for UT or the Browns.
No, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And Cleveland, actually, if you look at their roster, all the highlight people, their running back, all the people that like to talk a lot, they're all high draft picks. If you look at all their team, they got a bunch of people that might not even be playing next year in some areas.
Yeah.
So just say that they're loaded with talent. They have talent in certain areas, but that doesn't mean that they're in the trenches. They're loaded, which ball games are made on the D line and the offensive line. Period.
So let's move on.
I think that's why Baker's having such a bad problem.
Yeah. Let's move on. Is Dallas for real or not real?
Man, you know what? They're kind of like the Browns and UT again. I mean, they started out, we're all hopeful, and then all of a sudden, it's like, what happened? Where'd they go? Where'd our wins go? And I got back on antidepressants when they started losing.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I had to see the doctor because, when the Cowboys lose, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to eat. I don't want to see anybody, and at least now I'm eating again and going to work.
And you even went bowling, I hope. You didn't give up on that. Okay, good. All right.
It's so disappointing because, it's like they have all the ingredients to make a great team. And sometimes it just doesn't seem like it's all there, and
well, I made a big observation that after they lost the 3, they got back 77 on the line. That made a huge difference in Philadelphia. And then they got back Cobb, and they got what's his face back. What I forgot from Alabama is playing for them, and they just stomped Philadelphia. So they look like that. They look like the team that won 3 games, right? They look like the team that won the first 3 games, right? Now
So
they play New York on Monday night, So, right?
Yeah, they'll kick their butts, but I guess what scares me about the Cowboys is for a successful season, you've got to be able to adapt and overcome. So you lose a starter here, you lose a starter there.
Right.
You need to have some depth and some talent, in your ranks.
Right.
And it's like when Ezekiel Elliott was suspended for multiple games last season, I mean, it like gutted that team. I mean, they were down in the mouth. Didn't win any, and it's just, you've got to be able to lose a quarterback. You've got to be able to lose some, offensive players and defensive players, and have the second string be able to come in. I mean, look at what Nick Foles did with the Eagles. I mean, who knew Nick Foles until the head quarterback went out, and I mean, he did a great job of stepping into that position and leading them to victory.
And I think a team that does that really well is a team we all love to hate, and that's the Patriots.
Now, you telling me somebody hates the Patriots?
No, I like them because they just always win, and they always find a way to win. It doesn't matter who's in, who's out, they win. They win, and they're always ready for a game. Their defense always matches up no matter who they're playing.
Absolutely.
How do you beat them?
Well, see, is that the coaching?
Yes.
Is that the adapt and overcome?
Absolutely. And leading a team. Yeah.
I mean, is it?
They have the best defense I've seen since the '85 Bears.
Yeah. And then you got San Francisco. San Francisco's coming up a little bit. You've got, I guess, Kansas City's quarterback's hurt. So there's a lot of parity. But let's get some predictions. Who ends up in the Super Bowl, guys? We know New England's one of them. What's the other team?
It'd be Pats and 49ers in the past.
Pats and 49ers. Donovan?
I've got Pats in either San Fran or Saints.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
In my alternative dream world, I'd like to see the Saints because I really like Drew Brees. I mean, he's like Patriot, Tom Brady. He's like Aaron Rodgers. He's an old soldier. I mean, Saints and Chiefs would be pretty cool. And
they win too. They won without their quarterback.
Saints are legit.
Yeah.
They're legit. At San Fran, I think, is I have Saints, San Fran, and the Packers in the top echelon in the NFC, and I think I have New England in the AFC by themselves.
In Todd world, we'd also have another Super Bowl, and we'd make it the Dolphins versus the Boy Scout troop here in Round Rock. And I'd pick the Boy Scout troop. And then my alternative would be the Bengals versus Dora the Explorer, and she just wasn't good with it.
So I have a question for you guys. So who's your surprise team this year so far?
Ooh, good question.
All right, how about this surprise player?
Panthers without Cam Newton have surprised me.
Okay, yeah.
Because they've managed to win without him and showed that team actually could win if they focused on more than just their quarterback, right? I like Cam Newton.
Right.
I think he's a great athlete.
McCaffrey's awesome.
But they have turned out to have a pretty good season without Cam, and they're winning. So
Absolutely.
they've surprised me. They've surprised me.
How about you, Tom?
Man, nothing.
He's on antidepressants, Don, and
honestly,
he doesn't watch
really
football.
Surprised me this season. I just, we're getting at that point where we've got some injured players. The makeup of these teams are changing, and I always like, the second half of the season to see how these teams, weather the adversity, and that's something that's really important to me is
Yeah.
be able to field a team that can put up a good fight. And I mean, to me, it's not necessarily about who wins. It's I'm a game person. I like to see a good game. I could have like one of my favorite teams out on the field and they're smashing somebody. Absolutely, I don't want to see that.
You want to see a nail biter.
I want to see like a good
Yeah.
match.
Yeah.
I mean, even like in boxing, it's like, I want to see some rounds. I want to see some exchanges. That to me is the love of my game. I mean, that's what I like. I don't. So truthfully, I do have some favorite teams, but I'm really about the game. It's like I want to see a battle royale. I want to see people dig in. I want to see people overcome and just stare in the face of adversity and smile. I like that. I mean, I'm all about the fight.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead, Donovan. Jump in. By the way, guys, we do this over Zoom on a internet connection, so we don't see each other. So if you hear a little crosstalk where we sound like we're interrupting each other, we are, because we don't know who's going to talk next. We're just having kitchen table talk. So Donovan, jump in.
No, so my Lamar Jackson for Baltimore.
Oh, awesome.
Has been lighting it up.
Yes, sir.
And I think they can make some noise in the playoffs if he can stay healthy.
Right.
Because the trends in the NFL, everybody, if something works, everybody copycats it, right? And a lot of times when you jump in, kind of like the Rams did, kind of like KC's done, when you have a different type of offense or a different type of defense, it kind of shakes everything up.
Yep.
They're doing the same thing. They are running over everybody right now as far as rushing goes. And he's actually been pretty accurate throwing.
They're a good team.
So that's kind of the breakout player / team that I wasn't expecting as good this year so far.
All right, guys. So we've covered college, covered a little baseball, covered a little college. So now let's switch gears. No pun intended. Let's finish up our segment tonight talking a little bit about NASCAR. Everybody on board with that?
Sure.
All right. So this week at Martinsville, last weekend, right? They fought the wall and the wall won. You've got I was just looking at some stats right here. Let me bring those up. The top four guys.
Yeah.
Martin Truex has 7 wins, 14 top 5s, 21 top 10s, and 8 stage wins, and he leads with 49 points. And second is Denny Hamlin. Third is Kyle Busch.
Yep.
Joey Logano, and then you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 fight to even have a chance if they win the race this weekend in Texas, right? So, so Todd, jump in on NASCAR, buddy.
Man, you gotta say hats off to Joe Gibbs, man.
No kidding.
You just talk about just a solid race team, and those boys, they work, good together. And hey, he's got 2 of the bad boys, between Hamlin and Busch. I mean, what better warriors could you want on your team? I like the smash mouth. I like the bumping, and I like the grinding.
Well, since they changed the playoff format, where they start eliminating people after they get into the playoffs, right, and make every stage important and every finish important, right? Man, they are. There's no holding back anymore. It used to be when you had the points lead in the old days of Winston Cup or whatever, you just walked away with the trophy. It didn't matter. Nowadays, this is fun. Did you see Hamlin? Did you see Hamlin and Logano get into it after the race?
Yeah. I'm telling you that I honestly, I know who I'd pick in the fight. I mean,
I would like to get y'all's predictions on how you think this shakes out. It's hard to go against Truex for the championship. Agreed, or somebody like Kyle Busch. I mean, who's going to win this thing?
I'm going to say it's going to be somebody off of Joe Gibbs' team.
Okay,
I say Kyle Busch myself.
Okay. Yeah. And so, do you think any of the guys below that top four have a chance to win it in Texas, like Elliott, to maybe get himself back in the Final Four? I mean, Texas is a fast race car track.
It is.
And if you don't run in the front, you have jeopardy of getting in trouble really quick there. So, my personal pick is I think the momentum is with Truex, but you just can't count Kyle Busch out, can you?
No, it's going to be a good race.
Yeah, they'll figure it out, right? So, have you guys ever been to Texas Motor Speedway for a race?
I have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun,
I got to go once with the company I worked with, and I was in a box seat, but I've never been down.
You hear the motors, right?
Yeah, you could hear them, you could feel them, but you couldn't actually, experience them.
Right.
I will say, if they'd allow me to get out there with my Chevy 3/4 ton with my ranch hands, I would mess those boys up. They wouldn't even know what hit them. I mean, they would be patching them up and air flighting them out. It's like, I'm gonna wreck y'all.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The best race I've seen in the playoffs so far for NASCAR is when they went to Charlotte and they made that road course up there.
I'll tell you what, that is fun.
That is one tough course, the way they had that set up, and that was fabulous racing. Those guys are Elliott's a great road course driver. He's already
a lot of them still race on road courses.
Well,
but,
I
some
get
of them
it.
don't, and you can tell the difference between the ones that do and the ones that don't. You're like, uh-oh.
Right. And I guess Formula One's in Austin this weekend, correct?
I didn't know that.
I think they were in Mexico this past week, right? So
Yeah.
Hamilton
Yeah,
won, they're here this weekend.
Really?
And it's going to determine the championship, I think. They got a race after this, so maybe this weekend we find out who the champion is. But anyhow, so NASCAR predictions. I'm saying Kyle Busch is going to probably walk away with it.
I am too.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kyle, I think Kyle, and I've actually been a fan of his, but I think he will. Yeah.
Hey, and any
He just can't avoid getting hit, though. Kyle Busch, he's like, hit me on the head, split my eye open, please.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody likes to hit him too. It's not like because he is kind of an a-hole sometimes. So.
well, they all kind of get frustrated. I tell you though, these laps coming down at Texas toward the end, when they have these restarts after these yellow flags, oh my gosh, they're gonna be banging and beating on
dog
each
eat
other
dog
at 200 miles per hour.
That's awesome stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised to see cars flipping over and people in fights in the stand. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And guys, we'll be back next week. So any final thoughts, guys?
Hook 'em.
Hook 'em.
Hopefully, we're gonna win this week because they're not playing.
Come on, saddle up there, Cowboys. Do it.
All right, and then we'll be back on next Wednesday night to recap
Recrap it. Nice.
Recap it. To recap all the crappy decisions, all the crappy predictions we made. How's that?
Awesome.
All right, guys. Hey, y'all have a good evening, and I'll get this all finished up, edited up.
Cool.
And guys, thanks for listening to the Internet Sports Broadcast Network with Donovan Huges, Todd Frank, and Hurdie Burk. We'll see you guys around the corner next week. Bye.
Awesome.
Bye.
Hurrah.